You think he's underestimating your skills and your ability to switch stances?
No, not at all. You know, like he didn't fought southpaws, he didn't fought orthodox fighters. So, you know, he's been in the ring with a lot of fighters, and in his mind, he don't see nothing new that I can bring to the table.
The ridiculous promotion of Canelo Crawford has given me lots of good ammunition.
Get some, baby!
Ooh, first, let's take it back to last week when this photo was taken of Canelo and Crawford having dinner together. Like they're best friends. I
love you, man.
Their buddies, like they were family friends.
Canelo Alvarez has been warned by Terence Crawford, who has praised Canelo's ability to quickly switch stances and said that if the two men meet, Canelo will face a fighter unlike any he has ever seen. He said he doesn't know if Canelo Alvarez has changed since his fight with Floyd Mayweather. He agreed that some fighters perform differently based on who they fight, but he thinks that Canelo is more experienced and well-rounded now that he has fought Mayweather. At the end, Crawford said, "We'll see," leaving the ending open in case they face off.
So do you think he changed a lot since the Mayweather fight, or is he the same fighter?
I don't know. I just think, you know, sometimes some fighters, you know, they fight to their level of competition. And, you know, I think he's definitely more experienced, with more well-rounded, given the experience that he had in a Floyd Mayweather fight. So we shall see.
Oscar de la Hoya, on the other hand, said that the build-up to a possible fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford was too friendly and didn't have the usual intensity. He used a recent picture of the two combatants having dinner together as an example of poor promotion. De la Hoya feels that important fights should be fueled by rivalry and tension, not choreographed displays of friendship, and warns that without true anticipation, the clash may lose its appeal to boxing fans.
Can you imagine Muhammad Ali or like Joe Frazier having dinner together? What? Can you imagine Mike Tyson and Mitch Green before a brawl? What the fuck? No boxing fan wants to see two fighters having dinner together.
We could have a dinner on Wednesday night.
We want bad blood. We want anticipation. We want to feel like an actual war is about to happen. Not fucking caviar and champagne together while they're staging their trilogy. Jesus Christ.
Oscar de la Hoya continues to question the Canelo Alvarez vs. Terence Crawford promotion, calling the press trip rush and unconvincing. He laughed at the fact that there wasn't any real tension between them, calling their trash talk and stage shows fake. De la Hoya also told Canelo to face David Benavidez in the ring in response to his comments that he might join WWE. He told Crawford that if he really wanted to get Canelo's goat, he could bring up the fact that he failed a drug test before and the problem with the tainted meat. He meant that major issues would make Canelo really angry.
After their dinner date together, Canelo and Crawford said on the press tour that I think started in Riyadh, New York, and Vegas. So here's a clip of their shit talking.
I'm very excited for this fight. We'll see, son.
That's late, right? Oh, and Canelo elaborated on his career plans.
Maybe you will see me in the WWE.
Okay, great, Canelo, but please first, before you fight The Undertaker, can you please fight David Benavidez? No. And here's the moment where the script told them to shove each other. I mean, come on. Anybody else not buying this drama?
Ain't nobody got time for
and
that.
Crawford, if you want to actually make Canelo mad, just tell the truth about him and his tainted meat.
And Canelo failed 2 drug tests?
And when asked what time the fight will take place,
I don't know.
My good friend Turkey Al-Sheikh gave an answer that left everybody puzzled.
What are we looking at here?
I mean, I'm sorry, Turkey, but what did you say?
Terence Crawford, on the other hand, said he doesn't agree with the idea that Canelo Alvarez is underestimating his skills, especially his ability to change his mind. Crawford noted that Canelo has faced both southpaws and orthodox fighters and has sparred with a diverse variety of opponents. Nonetheless, he warned that while Canelo may think he has nothing new to offer, he will be surprised when they ultimately meet.
You think he's underestimating your skills and your ability to switch stances?
No, not at all. You know, like he didn't fought southpaws, he didn't fought orthodox fighters. So, you know, he's been in the ring with a lot of fighters, and in his mind, he don't see nothing new that I can bring to the table.
Furthermore, Oscar de la Hoya derided the confusion around the bout timing, criticizing Saudi officials' ambiguous claims and stressing how Dana White may have to pick between the UFC and the boxing event. He chastised White for avoiding questioning and turning to insults, calling him a Neanderthal. De la Hoya further highlighted the absurdity of White's failure to deal with him and Bob Arum while supporting other promoters such as Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren.
Choose whether to be present at the UFC Noche in Texas or the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And when confronted about his plans, Dana White simply chose to be the Neanderthal that he is, dodging the question and calling me a douchebag. I mean, it's ironic coming from the guy who's a walking billboard for affliction. I mean, we can all agree, if you look up the word douchebag, in the dictionary, Dana White's photo pops up. Dana went on to say he enjoys working with Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, but won't work with lunatics like De La Hoya and Bob Arum.
Oscar de la Hoya attacked Dana White, calling him a joke, saying that neither he nor Bob Arum will cooperate with him, and implying that Al Haymon feels the same way. He challenged White by saying that he has many outstanding fighters ready for huge fights, ridiculing White's lack of stars in the UFC and asking him to get his act together. De la Hoya also blasted White's personal appearance and demeanor, brought up the UFC's financial problems, and finished with a forceful, defiant message aimed at Dana and Canelo.
So in other words, Bob and I know he's a joke and won't work with him. And I can only assume that Al Haymon feels the same way.
I hate it.
Oh, and Dana, you can call me anytime, brother. Because I have lots of great fighters to make great fights with. Oh, but shit, wait. You don't have any fighters. What? And for God's sake, dude. Man, get a big shirt. Tight. Maybe some slacks. Get on blood pressure meds or something. Whatever you need to look and behave like a fucking human being.
Well, I can't.
Oh, and you haven't built a star in the UFC in 5 years. Maybe do your job and stop jumping shit. Because the UFC is in billions in debt.
I'm rich, God!
Dana, Canelo, you.
On the other side, famed ring announcer Michael Buffer expressed his thoughts on a possible Canelo Alvarez-Terence Crawford fight. He predicted a close and exciting game, one focused on technique rather than power. When asked about UFC President Dana White possibly promoting the event, Buffer complimented him as one of the best promoters in sports history. He went on to say that White is a skilled boxer who knows what to do, despite criticism from some, such with Oscar de la Hoya. Buffer made it clear that Dana White has his complete approval.
Michael, it's not a big fight unless you're announcing it. Canelo versus Crawford. How do you see that one going?
I think it's going to be a close and interesting fight.
Right.
I think it's going to be a technical fight, not a power fight.
Now, what do you think about Dana White promoting it? Do you think
he's only proven himself to be one of the greatest promoters in the history of sports?
So he's good?
Pretty good deal.
He's good for boxing.
Oh yeah, he'll know what to do.
Because some people like De La Hoya have been a little critical of him, but he has the Michael Buffer approval, obviously. For sure. You're the man. Thank you.
Furthermore, Dan Rafael questioned if Canelo Alvarez's poor performance against Skulls was merely due to a terrible style matchup. Rather, he thinks the toll of many years as a professional fighter, beginning at a young age, has worn on Canelo's physique. Rafael stressed that the main problem is not the number of fights, but the amount of rounds contested, which have a significant impact on a fighter's wear and tear.
I just can't get over how bad he was against Skull. I'm not convinced that it was just a bad style. I think that he's just to the point after, all these years being a professional since he's 15, 16 years old, that takes a toll, man. It's all the sparring, it's all the fights, it's the wear and tear on your body. And I have made this point before. To me, it's not so much about the number of fights, it's how many rounds do you have. Here's the harsh reality. Canelo Alvarez has literally double the number of pro rounds that Terence Crawford does, even though Canelo is younger than Terence Crawford.
He pointed out that Canelo had fought almost 500 professional rounds, over doubling the usual 245 rounds. Terence Crawford has noticed a noticeable change, which shows Canelo's enormous workload against top-tier, world-class opponents one after another. Even Canelo's hardest recent opponents, such as William Skulls and John Ryder, are strong fighters, making the cumulative wear on Canelo's body even more important when rating the battle.
He's like 500 something rounds as a professional now, Canelo. Crawford hasn't even hit 300 rounds as a professional. That's a big difference.
That's another factor then we can look into this fight. There's so many factors to it, like you say, Dan. Now, you did touch on it.
It's 520 rounds for Canelo Alvarez as a professional. And it's 245 rounds as a professional for Terence Crawford. Yeah. That's a dramatic difference. Think about the wear and tear you might take in an extra 200 plus rounds. And it's not like Canelo's fighting guys who can't fight. He's fighting top level, world championship level fighters, one after the other after the other. If you looked at a guy like William Skull or John Ryder or somebody like that and say that was like his so-called worst opponent over the last several years, that's still pretty solid. Those are still real guys. You know?
Showbiz Tedalp noted that Terence Bud Crawford frequently exchanges blows during fights, and when he is hit, it is usually with a straight right. Opponents appear to prepare to throw straight rights at Crawford since he is not a natural southpaw, giving him a clear target. Despite this, Crawford's toughness, quickness, and footwork allow him to absorb or evade much of the punishment. He frequently takes punches like Sugar Ray Leonard, giving his opponents a target before quickly backing away and countering. Crawford is presented in this approach as a tough, skillful fighter rather than a slick, technical boxer.
Doing some homework on Terence Bud Crawford. I was going to put together video clip of how Terence Bud Crawford loves to trade. So while I was trying to put that together, I noticed that when he is getting hit in the exchange, it's usually by a straight right. So much so that I've noticed that his ops plan to land a straight right. These fighters literally study Crawford and plan on throwing a straight right because he's a southpaw and he's not a natural southpaw. So they actually plan for it. It's just that Terence Crawford is so damn durable and good and athletic that even when they're landing it, he's okay. And a lot of times he kind of make them miss, or he'll give them his face like Sugar Ray Leonard, love him to death, and he'll step back and go bam, because his feet are so good. That's why I said he's a fighter. Crawford is more of a fighter than a slick.
Terence Crawford, according to Bill Haney, is a fierce and brave fighter who will not be intimidated by his opponent's size. He dismissed any discussion of Crawford being at a disadvantage, saying that such assumptions are out of date. Haney boldly maintained Crawford's status as the world's best boxer and projected Canelo's definitive and severe defeat in their matchup. George Groves praised both Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez as outstanding fighters, pointing up Canelo's impressive success since moving up to middleweight. He confessed that if he had known about Canelo's emergence sooner, he would have stayed in the sport longer to face him. Groves admires their skill and expertise, remarking that despite their veteran status, they continued to fight at a high level.
A brilliant fight, an exciting fight. I love both fighters. I think they're both amazing fighters. Crawford, amazing fighter. Canelo, he's come up to middleweight and absolutely dominated. If I'd known he was coming up, I might have hung out a little bit longer, right? I'd love to have tested myself against him. Like always, he's beaten everyone, so you think, well, maybe I think I had an idea, I got a plan. But yeah, nothing but respect for both those two guys. I'm looking forward to the fight.
However, Groves stressed the size differential between the two boxers, seeing it as a crucial point in Canelo's benefit. He acknowledged Crawford's challenge, calling it as a difficult obstacle to overcome given Canelo's strength and height at super middleweight. While Groves thinks that anything is possible, he believes Crawford will struggle to defeat Canelo because of his physical advantage.
Obviously, it's a fight that's thrown together. They're the wrong weights. You know, there's such a big size difference at play. They're both, you know, veterans, if you will, but they're both in really good form. They're both still performing at the, you know, a real high level. None of them have shot, finished, or sliding. So I'm really looking forward to it. You know, I won't give a prediction as such, just in case I get asked to cover the fight. But what I will say is that it's gonna be a tough one for the smaller man. I think size is definitely a big part to play in this. Things can happen, but yeah, you know, it's a tall order, isn't it, for Crawford to beat Canelo at super middleweight.
Manny Pacquiao voiced caution over Terence Crawford's move up to weight classes to fight Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds. Recognizing Canelo's significant size advantage, he emphasized the issues Crawford would face in managing his body, retaining his quickness, and adjusting his power to fight successfully in a heavier class. Pacquiao thinks the change is about more than just technique. It is also about dealing with the physical difficulties of a heavier weight class, based on his own experience. Pacquiao suggested that a smaller fighter like Crawford focus on more than simply speed. He emphasized the importance of technique, strategy, and precision, emphasizing the need for training that is especially adapted to the opponent's approach. Pacquiao feels that success at this level is achieved by smart and concentrated preparation rather than depending purely on physical talent.
Preparing like that opponents is not only the speed, but the techniques that you can use in the fight. Like, make sure that in your daily routine, training routine like that, make sure that all the techniques, strategy, combination, it's accurate to your opponent's style.
Teddy Atlas discussed a potential fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, expressing respect for Canelo's accomplishments while clearly favoring Crawford. His faith in Crawford is long-standing, and it is unaffected by Canelo's recent performances, which he found disappointing. Atlas feels Crawford's better skills and clever ring strategy give him a definite edge in the fight.
Taking Crawford, he'll handle it all. That's it. I am. I'm not in any way trying to shortcome the tremendous fighter named Canelo. I like Canelo a lot, but I like Crawford more. I like Crawford, and I liked him before Canelo didn't look great in his last fight against Skull. I liked him when the fight was first made 2 years ago, or talked about 2 years ago, or close to 2 years ago.
Sugar Ray Leonard commented on the Canelo vs. Crawford bout, citing Canelo's evident size advantage and remarking that Canelo looked stronger during their short encounter, even shoving Crawford back. When asked to select between size and speed as the deciding factor in a bout, Leonard strongly chose speed. Based on his expertise, he thinks that speed plays a larger role when used correctly within the ring.
Canelo versus Crawford.
I watch it.
You'll watch it, but what do you make of the matchup and the weight difference between the two?
You know what? It's up to the individual. It's always up to the individual.
Crawford tried to push up on Canelo there. It looked like Canelo wasn't pushed back too much, and he actually pushed Crawford, sent him back a little bit. Did you get a chance to see that face-off and their physical interactions or whatnot?
Not really, no. All right, guys. Thank you, man.
Last one for you, Ray. Size or speed? Well, what usually wins in fights? Because that's what they're saying the tale of Canelo Crawford is.
Speed. I like speed.
Speed.
Yep.
Timothy Bradley was confident in Terence Crawford's chances versus Canelo Alvarez, a 168 pounds, questioning Canelo's strength because he was unable to stop Jermall Charlo despite reservations from others. Bradley firmly thinks Crawford will come out on top. He also hinted at having inside information or reason behind his confidence, though he isn't ready to share the details just yet, reinforcing his prediction that Crawford will win. You really think that he's going to knock out Crawford? I would. Take Terence Crawford to beat Canelo Alvarez even at 168. You can call me crazy and whatever you want to say, but I get it. I know a secret y'all don't know, and I ain't going to tell you why I would pick Terence Crawford, but a part of the secret is the reason why I'm picking him to win the bout. Teddy Atlas discussed a potential fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, showing appreciation for Canelo's accomplishments but plainly supporting Crawford. His belief in Crawford is neither new nor motivated by Canelo's recent, underwhelming results. Atlas has supported Crawford since the fight was initially discussed over 2 years ago, thinking Crawford's extensive skill set and keen ring awareness give him an edge.
Crawford, he'll handle it all. That's it. I am. I'm not in any way trying to shortcome the tremendous fighter named Canelo. I like Canelo a lot, but I like Crawford more. I like Crawford, and I liked him before Canelo didn't look great in his last fight against Skull. I liked him when the fight was first made 2 years ago.
Frank Smith respects both Canelo and Crawford, describing Crawford as a terrific boxer. He claims that fans frequently make snap judgments based on a single fight, despite the fact that Canelo's most recent showing was not his finest. Smith believes that his entire accomplishments still show how great he truly is. I like them both. I've spent some time with Crawford lately, and you know, he's extraordinary. They're both excellent fighters, and I believe that sometimes people will look at Canelo in that last fight and say, oh, he didn't look great, and then consider that, you know, you're always judged on that last fight, and your career and what he's done is then forgotten because everyone says, oh, that last fight wasn't a great performance. Additionally, Frank Smith thinks Canelo is the favorite, but the bout is a 50-50th draw. He thinks Crawford's size is underrated, and that individuals may exaggerate the disparity. While he is not a technical analyst, he is looking forward to seeing two of the best boxers perform in what promises to be an intriguing encounter.
I don't know, I think Canelo has got to be favourite, but Crawford's a spectacular fighter, and also it is probably a 50-50, and it should be a 50-50, hence why it's the kind of fight it is, because you've got two of the active best fighters in the world coming together. You know, the weight has been spoken about in the past. I think, though, you know, they're probably not much different in size, you know,
no,
stature.
Crawford's big, like, when you look at him, big dude.
Yes. So, you know, it's a great fight. And I'm not the tactician, as I've always said, so I'm just looking forward to another great fight of entertainment.
Sergio Mora originally felt that size usually won, but Canelo's current showing has altered his mind. He says Canelo looked sluggish and struggled with a taller opponent. Mora thinks Crawford is stronger now and might outwork Canelo, but he still predicts a close bout with Canelo narrowly winning.
Kept saying, you know, a great big man will beat a great small man. That's just how it is in boxing. But after Canelo's last performance, like many people, man, he struggled against a guy in cutting off the ring, a longer guy that wasn't trying to make it a fight. And Canelo has lost a step. Let's keep it real. I mean, he's a man with over 65 fights. He's been fighting professionally since he was 15 years old. There's wear and tear. There's injury. He can turn old overnight. And believe it or not, he's younger than Crawford. But Crawford doesn't have those miles. You know, Crawford's 37 years old. He can turn old overnight. But I still like Crawford, man. He's just a mean dude. He's been bulking up nicely, doing it the right way. He looks bigger. He looks bigger than Canelo right now as far as like height, the shoulders. I think it's going to be a decision type fight. I think Crawford's in this fight, and I don't think Canelo leaves unscathed. I think he'll leave a little bruised and beat up, but he'll still win the decision.
That ends today's video. What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on their fight? Share your ideas in the comments box, and if you like the video, please subscribe and like it. Also, take a look at our other videos on the screen right.